What's up, my hunting brothers and sisters? Today we're going to go into one of the details of saddle hunting that I get a lot of questions about and people get very intimidated, and that is trees with limbs. How do you as a saddle hunter deal with getting up around this limb or a series of limbs to get way up there to hunt? We're going to go over that in this video, so stay tuned. So we're going to talk about how we're going to get around these branches on trees when you're saddle hunting. Now, this is a pretty basic tree. It only has one branch coming up, but it's a representative example. The more branches you have, you just multiply this out and just keep doing what I'm going to show you in dealing with one branch. It's obviously going to take more time. You know, ideally when we saddle hunt, the ideal tree is a telephone pole. Well, at that point you could argue, well, why not just use a climber? Which you could. But you know, some of the best trees to hunt out of have a lot of branches because it provides cover and you know, changes up your backdrop a little bit. So we're going to show you how to deal with this, you know, in a hunting situation. It's going to take more time the more branches you have. You just have to deal with it. So you're just basically going to go in with your typical saddle gear. You know, I've got my my 2-panel, my Latitude Method 2 panel on. I've got my Eastern Wood Outdoors sticks with aiders, and I got my Latitude platform. It doesn't matter what brand of products you use, the fundamentals are all the same. You're going to need your tether and you're going to need your linesman rope, just as you would any other time saddle hunting. So really none of it changes. Everybody's got their own way of doing it. Me, I hang my my platform off my backside here. I've got my sticks, you know, once I separate them here, and I'm gonna put my first stick up. I use aiders. Whether you use aiders or not, that's entirely up to you. So pretty slick. If you're wondering, I use the Amsteel Ultimate stick attachment, and I use a very basic one with a trucker's hitch. I used to just use regular rope mods, but I've gone away from that, and like this, I can get it a lot tighter and firmer. And go down around here. And set my stick, okay? So we're gonna go up, I'm gonna get the next stick set, and that's gonna basically show you, you know, where you're gonna get to. And in fact, I'm not even gonna take my platform up because you can see how to set platforms in any video. We're just dealing with how to get around this limb. So I'm gonna leave my platform behind and not take it up. And me, when I climb my sticks, I've got just paracord loops. I've done videos on this, and I've got little S-hooks, or there's some nice Kydex ones that you can buy. I know Eastern Wood sells them, but I like having them right there. And you're obviously going to have to get out your linesman belt, which I daisy chain. I've done videos on that. You know, and the point here is basically to take you through some of these questionable, you know, the things that people have questions on when it comes to saddle hunting. You know, again, the gear doesn't matter and all that. It's just, you know, coming up with, you know, the little tricks. That's what people struggle with, how to get around them. You can throw on your linesman belt on the ground. I personally like to get up on my first stick. Yes, I'm 4 or 5 feet up. Yes, I could fall and get hurt, but it's 4 or 5 feet. I'm pretty good. I find it helps me in climbing, mostly because, you know, the bottom of your tree is always the widest part, or most always the widest part. And it's typically is where I'm trying to get that first step. And so I'm getting away from the tree a little more. So that's just the way I do it. So with everything set, I'm gonna come up, and I usually at this point is where I throw on my linesman belt. Okay. And we're going to clip in. There we go. And I'm gonna go up. Okay. Shorten this up just a little bit. Now, as you can see, I'm very comfortable where I'm at right here. Get this vine out of here. So I'm very comfortable. So this is a great example where we're going to work from. I'm going to jump down. I'm going to reposition the camera so you can see this a little bit better. All right, so one of the things you got to remember is that every tree is different, okay? But the fundamentals are basically the same. So I've come to where my branch is at here, and I obviously now have a problem. How do I get past this? Because I don't want to just detach and not be safe. So the first thing obviously I'm going to do is I'm going to hang another stick, okay? And you always want to just come up with a system, you know, for all your gear. I talk about this quite a bit in videos, is coming up with a system that works. In this case, I'm going to go right below this, even little. I'm going to do it this way. We're going to go a little bit below this and not use the aider on this step. If I was actually hunting this, I would probably come up with a little more creative way to get my height that I wanted out of it. But all right, so how do we get over this limb? There's a couple of ways you can do it, but both methods require you to get out your tether and use your tether, okay? So for me, the way I'm going to do it, and my preferred way, would be to use it just like you would a tether. Some guys, and there's no reason that you can't do this, and there's no reason that certain trees may require you to do this, is to basically hook your tether up as a second linesman belt, okay? So climb up and, rather than climb up, like in this case here, you're gonna throw it around. You would either carabiner it or girth hitch it to your linesman loop and then clip on the other side. Then you could disconnect your lower linesman belt and go up and then reconnect. I personally like to use it as a tether approach. And this mimics more of a one sticking situation. And in fact, this is exactly pretty much how you do it as a one sticking, except you'd have a quick link. So in my case here, I'm gonna take my tether and I'm gonna loop it way up, about as high as I can go, okay? Because you wanna eliminate slack in your system when you're saddle hunting. You want as little slack in your system as possible. So that's pretty decent. I could probably go another 6 inches. I'm gonna get my bridge out here. I'm gonna lengthen my bridge to somewhat acceptable level. And I'm going to clip on. Now I'm using a Kong duck, a sender. The same applies whether you're using a Ropeman or you're using just a Prusik or a Swabish or whatever, okay? So now, all of a sudden, I can take and put my weight into the tether, okay? And so now, I can unclip my linesman belt, okay? And then, before even making this move, I can take my linesman belt and I can go over the limb, come around the tree, get the length I need, reclip, and be reattached. And now, if I truly wanted to, I could disconnect this tether. I typically will leave it connected in this situation just as that peace of mind safety, okay? And then I can step up. I can work my linesman belt up, okay? Come up again, work my linesman belt up, and you can see I don't really have slack in the system now because of my tether. Now, if you want to be extra safe and keep climbing with that tether, you can, okay? But in my case here, what I would do is I would take it off and I would simply throw it in my pocket or back in my dump pouch, okay? And now I can connect my next stick, if that's what I choose to do. Get it off here. Okay. Now I can come in here and I can connect my next step at whatever height I want and keep climbing up. You know, in this case, I actually have a fourth stick I could run. I could get up here. I could have my platform another 3-4 feet above my head. So that's basically how you're going to do it. I'm not going to carry that down. I'm just going to drop it. Coming down is exactly the reverse opposite of this. So coming down, I'm going to come down and I'm going to get to where I feel comfortable, okay? This is probably pretty good. I'm going to take my tether out, back out, Or again, if you wanted to stay connected on your way down with your tether, you can. You just slide it down and work it down the tree. In a one stick scenario, you're already going to be connected up there and you're going to be working it down. Okay, in a one stick scenario, you're actually going to be rappelling. You're not ever even going to need your lines and belt. But basically, this is how you're going to do it. I don't want to get too high because I'm going to step down and then I'm not going to be able to reach it. And that would kind of suck. Okay, so here I can take it a little bit of slack out. Now I do have a little bit of slack in the system right now, okay, but that can kind of come down and I can step down onto this stick. And now I don't have slack in the system and I can reach everything and I can take my lines and belt, or rope, belt, however you want to call it, and I can wrap it back around and hook back up, okay? And now I can take the pressure off of my tether. I'm on my lines and rope. I can unhook this and go around and throw it all back in. And again, you know, you can do this on a tree that is full of branches. Probably be a really good tree to hunt, saddle hunting. You're just gonna have to take your time and slow down. And a lot of this stuff, again, goes into practice. You need to practice in the off season, practice, practice, practice the whole time. Get your system down so that when you're in the hunting situation, especially if it's in the dark, you can do all this. You know where all your gear's at. You know how to handle this branch and then this branch that comes off of here and everything. It's really is pretty much that simple. So yeah, I'm gonna jump down real quick and we'll finish this video up. All right, so I hope that little 101 basics tip helps you guys out when it comes to getting over limbs when you're going out saddle hunting. Some of the best trees have limbs on them. You get deep in the timber and you don't have a lot of limbs, but you get on these field edges, you get a lot of limbs, and sometimes that's the best places to hunt. So don't be intimidated by getting out there and going up a tree that's got a bunch of limbs. Just give yourself a little extra time, and again, get out there in the warmer seasons before deer season gets here and practice. So as always, God bless, stay safe. Saddle hunting is so safe. Stay safe, it's so important, so you can come home and see your loved ones, and it's a new day in the outdoors.